Welcome to the One Player Podcast, the show on solitaire board games. I'm Albert, and this is episode 384.
Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow.
This is a game about reading?
It is a game about reading. You obviously weren't listening to me when I said that we're not doing Oros.
I missed that. No. Oh, spoiler. We have orals coming up in the future.
Albert, today we are talking about A Place for All My Books.
Oh, okay. I saw that at the game store the other day. It just came out.
Yeah, it did just come out, and I have been sitting and playing a bunch of it just so I can get on the podcast. Well, not just so I can get on the podcast, because it's good. Because I've been having great fun with it.
So we could skip the middle and just jump straight to the end. It's good. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. And quick aside, I just saw Odos at the Barnes & Noble at half off.
Ooh.
Should that be picked up?
Yeah.
Okay. Enough said. I don't know if I will or won't, but I'm going to take that into consideration.
We'll put it on for next week then. We'll make sure we get Oros in.
And listeners, you heard that the game's available right now at half off at Barnes & Noble. Hopefully still when this comes out.
But we're talking about A Place for All My Books because this is a new one that just came into me and I have been digging into it and it was good fun. So I wanted to talk about it more.
Nice. Yeah, and it looks really cozy.
It is cozy. It is a puzzle game where you are a book collector and you have a you have a house that is full of books, and your goal is to arrange the books in ways that satisfy your little missions, and then you can sit and look at them nicely and feel refreshed, and then you can go out and buy more books and put them in your growing collection and have fun doing so. And the goal of the game is to have the most amount of points by the time the game ends, which is based on essentially how many times people have gone to buy books.
Okay. That sounds neat. And yes. I like collecting things, so it suits me.
Yes, this is definitely a collection type game. You can even collect a couple board games in there, but the basic idea is some books. So let's talk about some of these components.
Okay.
So to begin with, part of the main draw are the book tiles. The book tiles are a bunch of wooden tiles, essentially, with some screen printing on them. Very colorblind friendly because each of the different colors, actually maybe not colorblind friendly, but each of the different colors has a different style of cover. So there's green, blue, red, and yellow, and a couple wild purple ones. But each of those books have a different color style, so you can easily tell the difference by the color style. This only slight issue with colorblind friendly is the idea of the game is that you're going to be stacking these book tiles. And once the book tiles are stacked, there's no indication on this what would be the spines of the book to indicate what color they are. So you have to pick them up and sort through them to look back at the cover if the color blindness of them isn't working out great. Is what it is.
Real quick question. Do you have the deluxe edition or the basic edition?
I have the deluxe edition.
Okay.
But my understanding is that even with the basic edition, it still comes with book tiles.
Okay. And so what I'm seeing is wooden tiles, but I don't know which edition that is specifically.
Yeah, but they're still wooden tiles. It's worth pointing out.
They're nice and wooden, and they look like books.
Yeah, the deluxe ones make them look even more book-like by having the spine be cut into it, but both of them still look really nice.
Okay.
So those are the book tiles, and you're going to have your own player board, which is a 4x4 grid with some worker placement spots on it, where you will lay out those books. So they will stack on top of there. You have to be a little bit careful not to knock over your stacks as you're walking around your board, but that's nothing less than the way it is in real life when you have stacks of books all around your house. So each of those stacks will get piled up on your player board. You also, as I mentioned, you have a worker, which is your player meeple, and they're going to go on the different worker option spaces on your player board, as well as on a central village board. So you will choose either to spend social battery to go on your board, or gain social battery when you're going on your board, or spending social battery by going to the village board. I mentioned social battery. There are these little hex-shaped tokens that are used to track your social battery. It's just a slider up and down to the side of your board. There are little project cards, a whole bunch of cards that those are the goals for the game that you want to arrange your books to match your little projects. There's a pile of other neat stuff cards, which are other neat stuff that you could buy from the village that gives you certain victory points or some special endgame bonuses or mid-game abilities that you can use over the course of the game to sort of mix and match things up. There's also a set of major accomplishments. These are just extra bonus victory points that everyone's competing with to get to first, because you can get a couple bonus points. That's just about all the components, but I'll talk about a little more detail about some of my nitpicks with some of them.
Okay, before we talk about the components more, I've got a question. I'm looking at the picture in the box, and boy, does it remind me of what's that dragon game called? Why can I not remember it now? The one where you got all the dragons in the village.
Oh, I know the game you're talking about. It's on my shelf.
Yeah. What is that game? Why can't I not remember the name?
Flamecraft.
Flamecraft. Ha, jinx. You owe me a soda. All right. So the art looks a lot like Flamecraft. Flamecraft. Is it the same designer, same artist, or what?
No.
Just a coincidence. Okay.
Just a coincidence. It's not the same artist.
Same
the artist
color palette. Yeah.
The artist is Naomi Lord. The designer are Alex Cutler and Michael Mihalsik.
Okay.
So, a couple more nitpicks about the different components. First of all, a positive comment about the little project cards. It is very easy to read them and understand how it is to arrange your things. Each one of them has a little text on the bottom. I especially love that every time I played this with someone else, there's a couple key terms that you'll see over and over again. For example, tall stacks. A tall stack is any stack of at least 3 books. Every time I play this, I've got a good handful of games already with this. The first time someone encounters that, they say, what's a tall stack? It's literally printed on the card. Every single card that references tall stack or center or corner or kitchen, things like that, they are very clear and they say on them what those things are. So it's really easy to understand those things. You just have to read the entirety of the card.
Though I will say it's in small italic text, and in my mind, flavor text, ignore it.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's what. Yeah, well, apparently not. Yeah, but that's what it looks like. And boy, those cards look pretty because the way it looks like an open book. Right, the art in the card, the top half looks like an open book, and then the bottom half is text.
What?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you could see like it's laying flat, and you see the shape of the spine.
I see the look that you're looking at. I get it. I'm not quite sure I would have considered that, but I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm wrong, but it sure looks like it. Yeah, and it's just the sort of the outline shape. It's not actually a book or anything. But yeah. Anyway.
So the art is really nice on those. There's also a bunch of art for the different characters and the different other neat stuff. You've mentioned that you like the other art, or at least you've compared the other art to Flamecraft, which is another excellent set of arts. So I assume that you're also commenting that this art is also very nice.
Yep,
I really like it. I think it's very nice.
It is cozy, is what it is. I think
it is.
It's nice. It's pleasant. It's soft, muted colors, kind of. It's It's just relaxing.
The art is lovely. There's lovely little bits and bobs around with kitten tokens and bookends and lamp tokens and cards for board games and shoes and all sorts of different stuff you can get. All of it is just lovely. The only parts that bug me just a little bit, the social batteries are essentially, tubes, but a battery has the smaller tube on top. If you imagine what a battery looks like, it's a larger tube with a small tube on top. I really wish that the social batteries would have had that smaller tube of wood stuck on top so it would look more like a social battery. I just wish it would be that way. One other minor nitpick, the sun token. Every time you go to village, you advance the sun token 1 space forward. When the sun token reaches the end of the game, when it reaches the end of the track, that signals the end of the game. That sun token has spots on the board for where they fit. The spots on the board are smaller than the sun token, so it overlaps just a little bit onto other spaces. It doesn't perfectly fit. I don't like this. It bothers me. For some reason, people on the internet got annoyed at me about the fact that I said I don't like it. I don't know.
How dare you, Julius?
Yeah. People on the internet
Goodness.
are interesting
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah, people literally started attacking me about the fact that I commented that it doesn't fit and it bothers me. Whatever.
Well, yeah. Okay.
But it doesn't fit and it should fit, and I wish it did. It is what it is. But I mean, other than that, the game is just lovely and very enjoyable. I have the deluxe version with neoprene player boards and village boards. And I generally like neoprene, but I find myself a little torn between whether or not I want to use the neoprene or the cardboard versions of those boards. Because while the neoprene is easier to hold books on, the printing is just a little bit crisper on cardboard. And the art is lovely, and I don't know which of them I prefer. So I haven't lost either of them, which is a rare thing for me with these kind of things. I usually lose basic components for upgraded ones, but I haven't today.
Yeah. That's interesting. And just to be fair, the quality of the neoprene is not bad. It's just generally printing on paper is just always going to be better.
Yeah.
So it's not a diss on the neoprene. I think
it's not. The neoprene is printed very nicely. It looks really nice. It's just not as crisp as when you can print on paper. It is what it is. Anyway, so those are the components. Overall, really lovely. One last comment about the components, I realize. The box. I also have the deluxe box, where the box is supposed to be stood upright and look like a book. And it has a magnetic clasp opening, so it opens like a book. It comes with a sleeve, so the sleeve can look like the original art. I'm not actually a huge fan of the deluxe box. I honestly would have preferred the basic box. Because I find that it's warping a little on the top and bottom from having been held this way. A regular box doesn't show that much warp. So, yeah, it also doesn't fit when everything else I own is being stored flat and this one is not. I have to sort of rejigger some of the places that I store things. Fortunately, I solved that problem.
I think you're supposed to keep it on your bookshelf.
No, it goes with board games.
And this is a cardboard box or a wooden box?
Cardboard box.
Okay, it looks wooden from the pictures, but okay.
It's supposed to look like book.
Yeah.
But yeah, it goes with games. Literally, especially since I'm in the new house, my games are downstairs and my books are upstairs. So I can't do that.
That's funny. Give it time.
So that is all about that. Let us move on to the theme, Albert.
Okay.
So the theme of this is that you are collectors trying to collect books and get points. You are certainly collectors, and I certainly have gotten that enjoyment of having everything be in its place and then sit back and be like, this looks lovely. Everything is in its right place. Usually, inevitably, when I sit back and I look at it, I go like, no, that has to be somewhere. In fact, with my new setup, our family room couch is surrounded by games. So every time I'm chilling on the couch with family, I'm constantly looking at my collection and be like, how can I readjust where my board games are situated to make it look a bit more pleasant? I am funny. The people in the game.
That's funny.
So
sounds like you think it's thematic.
I very much hear it. The only thing that's not thematic is nobody gives me points for arranging my collection. Who on earth is giving them points for it? Where did the competition come from?
That's right. Yeah,
I'm my biggest enemy for this kind of stuff.
And that's why this is such a good solo game.
No, we'll get to that. I mean, it is a consoler game, but you still have a rival.
Oh, that's funny. I noticed in one of the pictures on BGG, there's also some bookmarks.
Yes, those are some deluxe bookmarks. I didn't even mention those because I immediately took those out of the game and put them with the books upstairs.
Okay, so they're not game components. They're just nice extra add-ons. Cool. They're pretty.
So let's talk about the rules. Albert, you ready to hear more about the rules?
Yep, I'm ready for rules.
The rules are, in all honesty, the game is not super complex. If I tell you you are trying to arrange your books to fulfill these goals, there's worker placement spots that perfectly describe what it is that they do. They're almost fully listed out on the various boards. Look around the boards to read all of your things, do those until the game is over. Almost 30, 40, 50% of the rules become not even necessary just from reading the board.
Oh wow,
That
okay.
that is kind of ideal design when a person
Yeah.
could sit down to the game and understand almost everything about it. Having said that, there are a couple areas that I wish the rules would do slightly differently. For example, many rules have on the back a quick reference of here's end game points, or even have a card, here's end game points. As lovely as it is to sit down, it's not listed and it's not on the back of the rules. It should have been on the back of the rules.
Oh.
It's not. So, barring that issue of having a slightly better end game reference, the rules are great at explaining how to play the game. You can really sit down and enjoy it. The rules have some excellent, lovely quotes about the joy of reading from different authors, which was really fun. And they're great. The rules are great.
Nice. Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I usually download the rules and prepare ahead of the show, but Julius did a bait and switch on me, so I'm sorry. No comments.
It is all my fault.
Darn you, Julius.
So, let's talk about the gameplay.
Okay.
And I'm dreadfully sorry to Albert for doing this, but I really wanted to talk about this game.
No, it's fine. I'm good with it. I am good with it. I want to hear more about it because I did see it in my game store and I thought, oh, that looks neat, but I didn't pick it up or anything because I just wasn't ready for another new game right now.
So, talking about the gameplay in that case, the majority of what you're doing is you have a puzzle to solve. In order to be as efficient as possible, you generally are going to want to complete multiple of, I'm going to use the game term, little projects, which are those cards that are the mini objectives for how you want to organize your books. So, for example, you may have one that says have 3 loner red books, have 4 tall stacks, and have a green book in each, and have 4 stacks with green books in your bedroom and your kitchen, for example. So if that's your hand, you ideally want to figure out a way to complete all of those at once, because one action can be used to complete as many of your little project, your goal cards, as you can. That's the most efficient way to do it. If you're being efficient, then you're going to win the game. And so efficiency is figure out the best, quickest way possible to set up the books on your board to fulfill those goals so that you can complete as many as possible. If you want to go a bit slower and check your projects a bit slower, maybe do like 1 or 2 at a time instead of trying to do 3 at a time, it will probably hurt your brain a lot less and probably help you actually advance sometimes rather than sitting there in an endless loop of, I know I should be able to do this, but I can't. So how can I do it and figure this out in less than 20 minutes, making everyone else wait on me? And the answer to that is play solo. They don't have to worry about those problems. But yes, so the game is all about as being as efficient as possible to take those actions that achieve as many goals as possible as quickly as possible so that you can do all of them at once. And then you will turn, generally when you're taking those home actions and those home goals, those will give you social battery. You'll then essentially be having a set of times where you're doing everything at home to build up your social battery. And then once your social battery is filled up, you will leave the house, spend all of your social battery out picking up more books, picking up other neat stuff, and then come back home and run it all over again where you're completing your projects and doing through the whole thing. The worker placement spots are not very complicated. The only way you're generally going to be interacting with the books is taking a sort and a gather turn over and over again. Gather lets you take the top book from a bunch of spaces and put them on one space, and sort lets you take a stack of books and spread them out on a bunch of spaces. Note the rules, that's max 2%, whatever, read the rules for more specifics on that. But you're essentially going to be taking those over and over again. You aren't allowed to do the same thing over and over again, so you can't sort a bunch of times and you can't gather a bunch of times. So you have to mix it in with your other actions, and you've got rest, and you've got reading a book, and you've got the admire. So you've got a couple other actions you can take, but by and large, you're going to be having to balance those 2 actions to try and get your books organized correctly throughout the collection that is the entirety of your house in the game. That efficiency puzzle is to me very fun. I very much enjoy sitting, figuring out how am I going to be as efficient as possible to get all of my stuff sorted everywhere it is that I need as best as I can. The game, there isn't a way of interacting with and messing with another player by and large. It could be that you can mess with another player by, running into town real quick if you think they're going to go there and getting a large stack of books, or trying to steal all the red books out of town. But even then, there's not very much player interaction. So I can't really interrupt someone else's plan. So I generally even play like open hand rather than holding my hand, just to make it easier to figure out where it is that I'm going, what it is that I'm doing with all my stuff. And I'm just like, the other player knows I'm trying to get 4 stacks of red books, for example. I don't care. They're not going to do anything about it. Everyone's looking at their own books and enjoying their own books.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it makes things much easier. But that's just very much highlighting that a lot of the difficulty is you looking at your own board and figuring out how to be as efficient as possible. And for me, that's really fun. I really like all of that gameplay and dynamics that are in it. Tie that into the fact that there is some extra elements of, especially the other neat stuff, that the other neat stuff gives you a couple extra abilities generally each game that lets you do some other things. Some of the missions are going to give you free blind other neat stuff. Generally, the blind other neat stuff is the cheapest stuff at the village. So if you just take an extra action just to turn a couple social batteries into a couple points and maybe also pick up a cool card, those things will often happen. So you will often end up with other neat stuff that will sort of challenge you to use it as efficiently as possible. You generally won't have a lot of control over the other neat stuff that you pick up over the course of the game, which continues to make it dynamic, which continues to make it to that you're very much playing different things and having a different experience with those different character abilities, those different player cards, each different time. I do kind of wish that you had a little bit of a start difference, because each player starts the exact same way. Each game starts the exact same way. But as things start to really develop, I think that we'll be able to change stuff up. So the end game feels pretty unique. The beginning part of the game maybe doesn't feel quite as unique. Generally, until you take your first opportunity to go to town, so far the games have felt relatively similar in what it is that you're doing. You may have slightly different goals between them, but I feel like really it's not until you really have come to your first chance in town that things really start to mix up with getting different books, having much more abilities to mess with all the books, because you'll have more books in your area. You'll have some other neat stuff cards. You have a lot more things going on, like half of the way through the game, or a third of the way through the game-ish. The first time you've gone to town, it feels like a lot of stuff really starts to build up and you have a lot of things going on. So I kind of wish there was a more advanced thing. Maybe in expansion we'll see something more like that happening. Who knows?
Yeah, I like the low interaction. It adds to that cozy feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. This sounds really nice. This game just sounds nice and fun.
Absolutely.
Though again, what you mentioned earlier, the whole competition part sounds weird. It really does, but whatever. It's a game, and that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it is a game. You have to have some sort of competition when you're playing a game. But yeah, there's not really a competition for books, but that's okay. It's a game and it's fun. So, in terms of the gameplay, yeah, I really, really like that whole interaction, that whole efficiency puzzle that you get to play every single time you're running down seeing it. Good fun. In terms of how the solo game works, there is this character Penelope. And Penelope is an interesting one in terms of the story of Penelope. All of the characters for the game, all of the player characters for the game are really introverts, and Penelope is an extrovert. So she never needs to recharge a social battery. She just hangs out, and she still seems to read all the coolest books, and she seems to have similar book likes as you. And so now you find yourself just following her around and feeling like you're in competition with her. I thought that the
Yeah.
story was
You know,
endearing.
when I was younger, I had a friend who had a nice little bookshelf, but he never read any books. He said, "No, I just get them because they look good."
That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that's Penelope. I
I
just want to
don't
look
I
smart.
don't think so. I don't know, but maybe.
Oh, these books are
Could
popular. Yeah, I'll get them too then. Yeah.
could be.
Hmm.
Could be. So Penelope has an Automa deck where she'll pull out cards and then it'll determine where it is that she's going. So the card will have listed some options for things it is that she's doing. Um, it'll also have listed books that she may end up removing from available book stacks and taking in for her uh, based on what's being visible. What's interesting, though, is that the strength of her cards are going to be based, excuse me, so I said that she has a removal, you have a removal. The strength of her cards is based on how many of them she's managed to build up. If you let her build up a bunch of cards, she'll be bumped up to the higher tier abilities and be able to do some better stuff. Your job is to use the removal to get rid of some of her cards. Every time you complete a little project, if one of the books that the card references matches a card pictured on Penelope's cards, you get to remove those cards. If you don't ever do that, if you're never focusing on taking book cards that match Penelope's, she will grow to be super powerful. She will be getting her top cards every time, and that's going to give her a bunch of points and really advance the sun icon much faster than you can keep track of. Because otherwise, she's just going to be advancing towards the end of the game, and you haven't had a chance to build up. That's bad. So you have to deal with the randomness, which means that you have to sometimes be choosing your little project cards to match what it is that she's doing, rather than just having the freedom to just do whatever you want. You have to follow along with what she's doing to be able to contest her on that. That's the perfect little wrench, the perfect little issue that the solo game adds, an additional challenge of interaction, but without another player who's they're not interacting much with you. She's not taking away your stuff. A whole thing you have to do is you have to focus on taking away her stuff and knocking her down. That is a great form of attraction. It would have been horrible in a multiplayer because everyone would do that to everyone else. But for the solo game, being able to have it where you have to balance what it is that you're doing to be able to time it correctly, be able to take away her stuff and keep her less powerful. Chef's kiss. That was an excellent way of running a solo game that I don't think I've seen before, where the solo cards work like that. I don't think I've seen this before. So this felt like a really new way to me to run a solo game. And I thought it was a really good way of running a solo game. It was that perfect extra element to add a little bit more to your optimization puzzle, but you're also trying to optimize, when do you want to do this? Do I want to hold on to this to make sure I can hit more for cards because there's not that much of this color? Do I want to make sure to focus on this one? Do I want to get a bigger hand so that I have more flexibility? A very good way of running a solo game.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's so much more interactive than the multiplayer game.
Yeah,
it really does.
But it's interactivity with a solo bot.
Yeah,
yeah. To get annoyed about you blowing up their stuff, and it feels like it's the interactive part of an interactive player game with a game that is not at all interactive. Which normally I would ding a game for being like, hey, wait a second, you're not really replicating the game itself when you have a game that's not interactive at all, and here the solo is interactive. But it feels really good because it's that extra efficiency. It's just that one more piece of efficiency to try and manipulate the stuff that she has just right. It's right on point.
That's pretty good. I like that. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. So I certainly really recommend the solo game. I find it funny that the solo game brings in another player, and it feels like there's another player that you're playing against. But I certainly recommend the solo game. I thought that was a really interesting thing to do, and I thought that was really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I can't think of any other solo game where it feels like you're playing against somebody else. Really, they always just kind of feel like you're managing a bot.
Yeah, and this one, it's not a bot. You have a player who's building up powers that you have to go and beat down. It's not just managing a bot. There's another thing that you're trying to interact with harder than you interact in the main game.
Neat. Okay. Well, I like this. This sounds good. Maybe I should have paid more attention to it at the game store.
I think so. I think it's a really good one, and I certainly give it a strong recommendation. A place for all my books.
Nice. How much is the game going to cost a person? How much is the game retail, let's say, for example? For all my books.
I mean, you're the one who saw it at the store, so you would probably know better than me, but I can tell you how much I
didn't look at the price. I ignored it. Okay.
I paid $50 for the deluxe.
Okay.
It says that the trade edition was $35 at Kickstarter.
Yeah, it looks like you could get it for $30 from someplace. Just searching Google. I didn't click through to see who this is. The Peaceful
I think
Projects.
for $30, it's well worth it.
And the deluxe edition you could get for $50 online, plus shipping. So that's pretty. Yeah, that sounds pretty decent. I mean, that's not bad. So many games these days are just so much more expensive than that. How long does a game last? It says about an hour on this website.
Yeah, it's been about that. Shorter for a solo game.
Right. Nice.
I'd say about 40 minutes for a solo game, hour to an hour and a half depending on the number of players for multiplayer.
You said there's some brain burn in the game potentially.
A little bit depends on how much you're trying to be perfectly efficient.
Is that slowing the game down much when that's going on? It doesn't sound like it would really necessarily.
Nah,
because it's not a big board or anything.
Yeah, it's not a big board. The actions are pretty simple. It's all about the efficiency on it, and I think most people on their turn are just doing that.
Okay, nice. Well, very cool, Julius.
You think you're ready to close the book on this one?
Yeah. Let's do that. We'll close the book and then shelve it.
Sounds good.
All
right, Albert. Give us the epilogue.
Yep. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. We love feedback, so we love hearing from you. You can reach me at julius@oneplayerpodcast.com or JLBird on BGG, and Albert can be reached at albert@oneplayerpodcast.com or Fractalud on BGG. Our website is oneplayerpodcast.com with the number 1, and we're also on Twitter at oneplayerpodcast. The intro music is copyright Angus, can be found at jamendo.com. The transition music is copyright by Dan Elduce Pancaldi, whose page is at donpancaldi.com. The One Player Podcast is protected under a Creative Commons share-alike license. Thanks for listening.